And we're finally live with the new show.
We are finally live.
Hello, hello.
Chris, you've got fancy new headphones. What's the deal, man?
I know, aren't they nice? Look at this. Look at this business that's going on here.
Wow. Those are so stylish. I would probably pick those out of a lineup of different headphones.
Oh, with the nice pink highlights going on and the teal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude. Tell you what, I don't mess around.
Yeah, for sure.
He had to spend his bonus money somehow.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you do.
That confidence, that swagger.
I indulge in very few things. Headphones is definitely one of them.
I think that's fair. I mean, headphones is important. Now all of us has them, so we're matching.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
I know. Could hold them here like we're, I don't know, traffic control operators. I don't fucking know. So, you guys ready for a show?
You need the glow sticks, man.
Yes, I do.
We are totes ready for a show.
Sweet. Then you know what? We're already here, all three of us. We're just going to go ahead and kick it off. How does that sound?
It sounds.
It does sound.
Start relatively on time. This is it's like the Twilight Zone. This is a Twilight Zone episode. We're all going to die somehow.
Shut up, Chris.
Dude!
Spoil the end.
My bad.
Oh. So hey, greetings and welcome to episode 14 of Backwards Compatible. We're a snazzy group of three peeps with a passion for nerdy things like video games, comics, anime, the whole works. We're three peeps because Jared is a very busy man, and he's got a lot of things on his plate, and so he's decided, you know what, he's going to take a break, which is cool. We love the guy, and we want him to keep doing his Go Boyano stuffs and work and other things in life. I mean, rock on, dude. But he will be back as a special guest at some point. God damn it!
It's true.
It's a sabbatical. He's taking a sabbatical.
We need to bring him on as special guests when various anime series come to a close.
Mm-hmm. Or start, just to pimp them out and give people to know what they need to watch.
It's true.
So last week, while I was gone, you guys did pop culture references from the 90s to introduce yourselves. This time, we're going to do video game theme soundtrack titles. My name is Randy Thompson, and I'm the simple and clean of this podcast because complex things confuse me, and I shower regularly.
I'm Jonathan Higgins, and I'm the "it's difficult to stand on both feet, isn't it?" from Final Fantasy VII of this podcast. I gave my dad a ton of gray hairs from all the times I tripped and busted my chin as a child. True story. I don't know if this webcam is good quality enough, but I have a whole set of like 3 or 4 scars on the underside of my chin from every time I tripped and fell as a kid. There were so many stitches, and my dad had so many gray hairs.
Wow,
yeah, insanity.
No words.
No words.
No words. I am Chris Garcia, aka Wildcard Corsair, and I am the Sunleth Waterscape of this podcast because people hate to admit they love me.
So, Chris, what is Sunleth Waterscape from?
Final Fantasy 13, of course.
That's what it is. Of course it is.
Because you know what, John, your backup is gone, man. It's you alone.
You and Barrel.
With
oh, man, on my shit list.
I kept him off yet. I did.
Sure you did. Sure you did.
Listen, I may or may not like Final Fantasy 13, but I love that soundtrack. I'll admit it to anyone.
Good.
It is a good soundtrack.
Everyone knows Hamazu's where it's at. Anyway, happy to have you guys here. Happy to have Chris. Happy to have John. Happy to have all the splendid people watching. Otherwise, if you're tuning in later, just to let you know what time this is going down, it's 9 p.m., 9:12. We started a little bit late. Central Time on October 1st, 2014. Fall! Woo!
It's fall!
I know. It's so amazing. Get week...
your pumpkin spice lattes.
Your PSLs.
Chris, I did not know that you were a white girl.
I am not, sir. I don't even drink coffee, actually.
Un-American? Are you a terrorist?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is not necessarily an endorsement, but this is my coffee.
I'm not even looking. I'm looking at the outline. What are you holding up,
It's
John?
5-hour energy, extra strength.
Extra strength. So you know what I've got in the corner over there?
That explains much.
I've got a 12-pack of Surge. So
Me
I'm
too.
the only one
Don't you
on
worry.
this podcast without a vice, a liquid vice. Come on, what's up?
that's okay. You're probably better for it. So you
But thirstier
had
for it.
an audience question last week in honor of your special guest Beryl, who joined you. What's your favorite barrel-related item in a video game? Donkey Kong throws them. Solid Snake hides in them. Vivi from Final Fantasy IX gets stuffed inside them. Spoilers. They're actually pretty versatile. Do we have audience?
Randy has the best answer.
Well, of course I have the best answer. My favorite kind of barrel is Pepe's barrel roll because internet.
Do a barrel roll. All right, so
Very nice.
I didn't necessarily like Golden Sun Dark Dawn, but they have the best. When like normally when you approach barrels, it's just like, oh, you can find hidden items in the barrels. It kind of became a meme because you just walk up to the barrel and it's just like it's a barrel, unremarkable and empty. That's my favorite barrel.
Well, I said my favorite barrel is Funky Kong's barrel airplane because what could be safer, right?
I don't know. Does it ever work out? I'm not a big Donkey Kong person.
Hey, we'll put it this way: the safety rating. You never died when taking the Funky Kong barrel airlines, so
Well,
gotta be better than regular airlines.
true. I mean,
True enough.
I think Tails' plane crashes enough in Sonic, so I just...
Ain't that the
That's
damn
true.
truth?
Like every game.
Yeah. We've got, of course, Deco up in this Q&A who says that he has a vice, and he prefers Liquid Schwartz. Gotta love.
He also has a favorite barrel.
He does. He'd say a barrel of Chim Chims if the World R2 had barrels of Chim Chims. I can't remember whether it does or not, and I don't think it does. I think they just pop out of the wall and then you kick them in the butt and then you get them because
Fair enough. You
that's
can also mention the barrel of monkeys from the Toy Story game on the Genesis, which I don't have, but I had at one point.
and you will spend hundreds of dollars to get it back because
Probably.
that's how you roll like a barrel.
Oh, did you plan that or what?
No, I didn't. I'm actually just that
Randy
clever.
is king of segues. We know this. We
It's
understand
true.
it.
Yeah, exactly. So, speaking of what we've been rolling with, let's talk about what we've been doing, guys. Chris, it's been a while. I wasn't on the show last week, so you've got to fill me in. What have you been up to?
Wow, you missed an eventful week last week, actually.
Well, I did watch a good chunk of the show, so I kind of know some things, but I'm just work with me here.
All right. Okay, let's see. I've been playing more Disney Infinity 2.0, and this time I actually beat the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy playsets. So I have both of those finished, and they're pretty cool, but I definitely think one of them ranks a little higher than the other.
When you say play, do you mean buy figures? And when you say beat, do you mean opened them and played with them?
No, there is a yes.
Called it.
Yes.
That's what the
Sorry.
game is all about, is just...
Sorry. I don't even own a game system. I just own the toys.
I mean, you have to play with your kid. I mean, Trent's got to be entertained somehow. He's going to be more entertained when the amiibo show up, right?
I don't really let him touch the NFC stuff, actually, because he has a very good... He's got a good ability to break things. He's got a very talent for that, so...
Gotta be talented.
You'll get your Marth amiibo in the mail, and he'll just all of a sudden be missing his arm.
Yeah, he'll look at it and he'll be like, "Oh, okay, catch," and he'll throw it across the room, and then it'll break into a million pieces, and then I'm like, "Oh, well,
There went my $11.
Spendy. What else you been up to?
So let's see. After Guardians of the Galaxy, I beat those 2 play sets, and then I started on the Toy Box games, which are the little subtype games. One of them is actually like a dungeon crawler called Escape from the Klin, which is based on the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And then there's another one that is Assault on Asgard, which is a tower defense mode. You have like little survival waves. So that was pretty cool. I've also been playing more Theatrhythm, of course, because I love that game and I can't put it down ever.
I know that feel, bro.
The funny thing is, I need to, I don't know, fight you online or whatever, John, because I got a really cool long quest that gives you like green shards, orange shards, and purple shards. It's a long quest, and it gives you all of those.
Gotcha.
So those are super cool. Let's see, what else? I wrote some stuff down.
You talked about some Hawkeye.
I didn't really finish them. I wrote that on that one because I thought that I'd have them done by now. But in place of that, I did get a different comic, and I read that, and I thought it was a little bit more topical because it did just release today. Ooh. It is Thor #1, which is a relaunch featuring the female Thor that Marvel has been sort of teasing around over the past couple months.
Gotcha.
So there's that, and I will totally talk about that more later in the episode. And then after that, Natural Doctrine, which I can actually talk about now since it released, and I really don't like that game.
You were describing it to me offline, and it seems like I really would like it.
Well, you would like it. It's not to say that it's a bad game, because it's not a bad game.
It's not your cup of tea.
It lends itself to a very specific kind of player, I want to say. Gosh. You really have to enjoy an extreme challenge. And if you do, then you will love this game. If you don't like having to repeat hours of work because of a single mistake, then this is not your game. Oh, dope.
Love it. Love it.
You will be bald by the end of the month because you'll be tearing your hair out.
That's my kind of game.
That is your kind of game.
Speaking of my kind of games, I will talk about what I've been doing next. And first and foremost, the game that I forgot to add to the outline until 5 minutes before the show because I completely forgot I'd been playing it this week. Hyrule Warriors!
Yeah.
Must have been really memorable.
It's not to say that the game is forgettable, but I've been making a point because it is Dynasty Warriors, and the gameplay is super repetitive, and it will get very old very quickly if I do nothing but commit mass genocide for 6 hours straight. So I've been playing it for maybe an hour and a half at a time and advancing the story little by little by little by little over the week, and I just straight forgot that it was on my radar because I've been playing so many other things. But I'll talk about that later in the show. I've also beaten DuckTales 2. That game is amazing. I wish I had the NES version and not the Game Boy version because it is multicolored and amazing. I beat Quackshot, which I talked about at length last week, and Disney games are awesome, and I'm in the process of getting more from Amazon because Mickey's Magical Quest, one of the SNES games that I liked a lot, I just found out that game has a sequel or two. So I'll be playing those too because they're like $6 a piece, and like I figure if I forego like the slice of cake that I got for lunch one day at my work, like I'll have an SNES game instead. So I've been just budgeting myself in other ways. And speaking
if only I realized that, I'd be thinner and I'd have more games.
That's what I'm saying. Speaking of tiny, teeny budget games, so I'm looking at my game collection, my retro game collection. I spilled like some water, and my games were like on the floor, like dangerously close to the water, and I'm like, fuck, I need to protect these things. So I went and bought like NES dust covers and Game Boy game dust covers and like places and cases to put my games and keep them safe from random accidents that tend to happen. And
Did
while
you
I
get
was
Jonathan
in the process,
Shields?
Yes, Jonathan Shields.
Okay.
With chickens and everything for Jared's glass lip reference. There we go. But while I was getting all those, I happened to see a Game Boy game out of my peripheral that I liked a lot as a kid, and I had no idea that I still had it. But Bomberman Max Challenger is totally another game I've been playing, and I'm going to be talking about Bomberman games at length in the show because I've been missing them. It warms my heart to play this game again because Hudson Soft is dead, and that just makes me cry.
That is sad.
I
That is
also
a
picked up
sad statement.
Kentucky Route Zero, because friend of the show Haley recommended it on her Facebook, and I'm like, you know what? It's been a while since I followed a friend's game recommendation. Been playing that a little bit. I started and played through the first act. It's very much a point-and-click adventure game, and it's been a while since like the missed day since I last played through a point-and-click adventure game. So I've been making my way through that. I don't think it's got its hooks in me just yet, but I mean, it seems interesting enough. I'll probably get to it once more of my backlog is cleared out. But the game of the hour for me, beyond like the other stuff I've listed in this outline is, yes, I've been playing more Theater Rhythm. I'm up to 33 hours now. And I've been shiny hunting in Pokemon Y, and I found myself a shiny Eevee, and I'm quite proud of myself, and I did a little dance. And I'm caught up in Terra and Resonance and Sailor Moon Crystal, and I watched an episode of Death Note. Randy, why the hell are they comparing this show to Terra and Resonance?
That's a good question, and I've only seen the first episode of Terra and Resonance, so I have no idea. But if Terra and Resonance is really good, then they're comparing it to Death Note, because Death Note is also super excellent.
Fair enough. Should I stick with it?
You should.
Like, I watched the first episode, and I'm like, well, this is different.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. In high school, there was some kid in my class that was reading Death Note and explained to me what it was about, and I'm like, wow, that's extremely stupid. How is that going to be at all entertaining? And then in college, it started airing on TV here, and I gave it a shot, and it works its way into like my top 5 anime from time to time, depending on how recently I've watched it. But yeah, it is super, super good. Really, really solid. Even the parts that people are kind of harsh on aren't that bad. It's just that it's not as good as some other portions. But overall,
fair enough.
super great.
I'll definitely give it a shot, because I am looking for more anime to watch besides Terra and Resonance. God damn, that show is amazing. It's
then
amazing.
Death Note is your thing. I would stick with that.
But the game of the hour for me, beyond both Hyrule Warriors and Bomberman, is Pierre Solar and the Great Architects, which came out yesterday, the 30th. It is the HD remake of the Genesis game that I never played before, so this is my very first time playing through it. It was a Kickstarter from 2012, if I'm not mistaken, and they are releasing this puppy on everything. It's coming to Wii U, it's coming to PS4, PS3, Steam, the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I'm just like, well, I need to play through this game because it's like the old school Phantasy Star games on the Genesis, and the fact that it's a turn-based RPG and very rooted in 90s adventure nostalgia. And boy, howdy, does it ever scratch that itch. But I'll get more into that later. But that about covers it for me. So that leaves you, Randy.
Well, before we jump into me, I'm going to do some house cleaning and deal with some of this. People that are like watching this show and like talking on the Q&A, which if you're...
People watch this show?
People do.
Viewers?
Wow.
What?
The heck out of me.
Yeah, so as we're live...
We're awesome. We're awesome. Why do people watch anything else? I don't even understand. It's us, man.
But we've got Pat representing Basement Quality up in this, who says the only games I've been playing are gimmicky horror games.
I was going to ask you about that, Randy. Like, obviously, you dabble in Basement Quality from time to time, like, and it's the 1st of October, so it's gimmicky horror month.
Let's exactly
get on
what
this.
happened.
Let's do some shameless backwards quality. Basement quality.
Whoa.
Backwards quality. Let's make that happen.
Crossover title, man.
That is $1 million idea.
Backwards compatible cross Basement Quality.
No.
I'm pro Jonathan X Pat. Let's make this a thing.
There you go. We can have bad box art Mega Man as a playable.
Link's Awakening.
We'll get Harada to do. He'll be the producer of this podcast.
Perfect. Pat also says that Jonathan bought Jonathan insurance.
Damn right.
Games. And of course, Deco says he's been blazing through his 11th, or was it 12th or 13th playthrough of Alpha Protocol. So he is playing something for a lot of times. He also is sad that Jared is not here, and sad to see him go. Trust me, you're sad.
We are too.
But life is life. Speaking of that, what have I been up to? So I jumped on the Twitch bandwagon and I started streaming stuff.
You did. Have you liked it?
It's a different experience because doing basement quality, I'm with other people right there next to me to help keep me not be boring. So it's
kind of like this show.
Yeah, exactly. Well, don't flatter yourself, John. It's Chris who's carrying me.
All right. We're good.
But so I've played a few things. First off, is I played Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, which is fun because I've never really played a Metal Gear game, and what better way to do it than play a platinum game? So,
damn right, son.
But I can talk about
this.
Huh?
I support this.
Good. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I also played because I felt bad because every time on these outlines I'm like, oh, that's what I've been playing. Somebody by the name of Chris Garcia, I don't know who that guy is. Always like comments.
I've never heard of him.
Yeah, he always comments like, well, I know Batman Arkham City because you haven't played that since April. So,
spoiler alert, gentlemen, Arkham Asylum is free for PlayStation Plus members this month, so I'll be getting into the series, Chris Garcia.
Careful. If you start it and don't stop, he will hunt you down and punch
you.
I know. I have to be careful.
So,
but anyway, go on.
In order to appease this Chris Garcia, I didn't just play the game. I live streamed myself playing it, so Chris could watch while I played.
Visual evidence.
We could hear your live reactions. Oh my God, Chris, it's so great! You're the best.
Why did you make me stop playing this game? But apparently, I'm close to the end, right?
Yeah, you should be really close to the end, actually.
Cool. So then I can have that under my belt, and then I will wait for Arkham Knight because Arkham Origins doesn't interest me. I don't know. It's not the same developer, and whatever. Maybe I'm making a mistake. I don't know. Whatever. You can convince me otherwise.
I've heard lukewarm things about it, and I'm inclined to believe them. For me, the real big problem is that they ditched Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill for Batman and the Joker, respectively, and why? Why would you do this?
It ruins it.
I mean, so disappointing.
I'm not gonna say that like Troy Baker, who plays Batman, is that right?
No, it's Roger Craig Smith does Batman. Troy Baker does Joker.
That's right. I do like Troy Baker, and Roger Craig Smith is always awesome. I mean, a guy who can do Chris Redfield and Sonic the Hedgehog. Kind of
fair enough.
Not saying he's a bad voice actor, although I am saying Troy Baker is a ham and a half. But hey, man, I'll say it, dude. That you could stick that dude in an oven for 4 hours, and he'd make a really nice addition to your Christmas table.
Hey.
But
wow, that's a first.
Chris Garcia putting Troy Baker on blast.
Yeah, I'll do it, man. I don't care. What is he going to come at me with?
You'll Troy Baker on Twitter and be like, aren't you just a glorified booth babe? That's a callback from a year and a half ago. Some game journalist guy did that to Felicia Day and regretted it ever since.
Yeah,
no kidding.
Well, to boost Troy Baker, he recently had an album come out on iTunes, so if you like Troy Baker, you can go buy that. One other game, and then I
or
played
don't.
Or don't. Chris doesn't like.
Listen, Chris, I like him. I don't know what you're talking about.
I like him. I just don't like his personality.
That's fair. You know whose personality you like me? And I'm still talking.
Okay, my bad. Sorry.
I just wanted to get off the Troy Baker train. But what I played last night on Twitch was one of my old favorite Dragon Ball Z games from 1996, because awesome fun times.
People responded to that when you tweeted it out. They were like, hell yeah.
Apparently. I really feel bad because, most games nowadays you can change audio levels, be like, I want the music to be this loud, and I want voices to be this loud, and things like that. PlayStation 1 days, not so much a big thing, and PlayStation 1 emulators, also not so much of a thing.
Right.
So, my voice was fighting for being heard amongst the game.
Right. I can only imagine.
Whatever.
That's
I
why
have
I'm
what I
not
did.
live streaming Wild Arms 2 anytime soon. As awesome as that game would be to play live in all of its glory.
Yeah. So I did that. And other than that, I've been doing a whole lot of other stuff. I picked up Castlevania Lords of Shadow and started playing through that. Still playing Tales of Xillia 2, which is awesome. Sadly, I probably won't beat it in time for Final Fantasy 13 to come out, and so I can live stream that sucker. 3 finished last week, 2 weeks ago, whatever. I can't remember, but it's over, and it makes me sad, and I no longer have a reason to live. Until I started watching this other anime called Silver Spoon, which I can talk a little bit about that later, because, I don't know, it takes an explanation of what is this, and why is it kind of something that people should at least give a try. I've also just finished tonight BoJack Horseman, an animated series that's on Netflix that they started themselves. So I finished that, which was actually good stuff. I would recommend it. After the first episode, I was kind of like, it's not really that great. But after watching all 12, it's pretty solid. I would probably give it like an 8 out of 10. It's really good. And then, of course, more Doctor Who, because it's still going. I'm going to still watch it. So.
Holly has missed several episodes in a row. I'm actually quite disappointed.
Because Holly hates fun, and we've already talked about this.
It's a good thing I'm wearing headphones right now.
Pat says Basement Quality 5 Ever is a good name.
Basement Compatible 5 Ever.
Oh, yes. Deco says he'd love to play Arkham 1960s.
So would I.
And Pat says Adam West in Arkham would be amazing indeed. I mean, you can play 1960s Batman skin in Arkham City, but it's not the same. I mean, he's still like bulky Batman, not like fat Adam West Batman. But
Yeah.
it's the same outfit.
Spare tire Batman.
Yeah, but it's the same kind of style sort of thing. Deco also bringing in with ham is an important part of a balanced diet. I loved Mr. Baker's performance as Yuri in Tales of Vesperia and Snow in Final Fantasy 13. Because of course you did. Because you're a smart person, Deco. You played
No. Hold on. I gotta stop you guys.
Oh no.
I'm not saying he doesn't do a good job. He does a great job.
Yeah, I know.
I know this. I'm not saying that the man is terrible. I'm only saying I don't like his personality. I don't jive with the man. That's all I can say.
That's fair. There's plenty of people's works that I enjoy, but I hate their face.
Ain't that the freaking truth? I ain't
Deco also says, but Revengeance is a completely different experience from a typical Metal Gear game. Yes, it is, and it's also why I'm kind of having fun with it. So, leaving
Don't worry,
that,
Deco. You have all the Metal Gear Solid love you need right here. I've played 1, 2, 3, and 4. Ain't touching 5. It ended with 4, as far as I'm concerned.
What about Peace Walker?
I haven't gotten to it yet because I didn't own a Vita at the time. Maybe I'll get to it now.
You mean a PSP or a PS3?
It came out on PS3?
It's in the Legacy Collection.
As part of the HD collection and part of the Legacy Collection both.
Gotcha.
And available as a standalone purchase. It was on PSP both physically and digitally. And actually, the one thing that it is not on
store when
is Vita.
Sony ever bothers to freaking ship my Vita back. I have a feeling it's lost in the ether, and I'm never seeing my Vita again.
I think they're just holding on to it because they're like, nobody wants this.
It's like they know that I want to play Persona 4 Golden really, really bad, and they're just like, we're going to make him wait until he's done with Hyrule Warriors and all this other shit, and then we're going to send it to him because we know what's in his backlog. I have Sony chips in my head.
I don't mean to trash the Vita. It's a very awesome thing. You know me, I've got to make some sort of crack at it. So, since we're leaving on that, let's talk about some news. News? So, I put together the outline so I could put the most exciting thing at the top, depending on who you are. So the new, not this 1996 game, but a new Dragon Ball game, Dragon Ball Xenoverse, is getting a North American network test this weekend. So they're going to be stress testing the network, seeing how things work out and stuff, if there are any problems. There was a previous one in Japan a couple of weeks ago, and it's a worldwide one this weekend. And actually, people in Europe are already playing because somebody just sent out codes and the servers are live, so people are playing a day and a half early, but whatever, that's fine. So we're going to be having that here, and you can be a part of it. You, person listening, or you, John, or you, Chris, if you care. All you have to do is check out the Bandai Namco Dragon Ball Z Games Facebook page, which, if you have the Showcase app running while you're watching this show, is over on one of these sides. Can't really tell right now. So you can check that out, and they will be posting a code that is good for the first 20,000 people that use it and redeem it. So you can download the game and play it for, I think it's Friday night through Sunday morning.
I assume that you will be first among those people and, like, waiting at your computer at 3 a.m. whenever they drop the code, and you're like, yes!
I believe they're going to be doing it around 9 a.m. Pacific time. So
you're going to be, like, in your PJs, just waking up, like, hell yeah.
It'll be 11 a.m. It's almost lunchtime. But I will be at work, and I've already got the tabs open for Facebook, and I've got the one open for PlayStation Network's browser version, so I can redeem the code. I'm gonna be on top of this shit. Like nobody.
Of course you are.
So yeah, that'll be this weekend, and it's really, really exciting. And I also have to make note in my live stream last night of playing Dragon Ball Z Legends. Chris was there, and he saw it, and the first thing he said was, "Man, I thought Dragon Ball Xenoverse would have looked better than this." And I laughed because it was good. But we've got other news.
I could not.
Oh, you did not?
I was going to say, no, I did say that, but I couldn't hear anything that you said. Something messed up with the audio, and I couldn't hear anything after that.
My bad. But other than...
Chris, did you want to talk about some Bayonetta news? Have you read this yet, or is it going to be me? Because I'll be happy to talk about it, but you're the Bayonetta guy of this here show. You two are, anyway.
Let's see, I can fix... Oh, yeah, actually, I did read that. That was actually pretty funny. Hideki Kamiya, who is definitely
one of the most entertaining people on Twitter ever.
Yes, I follow him. I will always follow him. I am considering getting his tweets sent to my phone as soon as they happen because his responses are great. He tells you to go ask your mother.
He says, enough of this gamer something shit. I'll block you.
Yeah, pretty much. Smash idiots. Stop tweeting me, smash idiots. I love it. No, he was asked again, and he gets this all the time, and I feel really terrible for him because people don't seem to realize the situation that Bayonetta 2 is in. And once again, he said, okay, guys, listen here. If you keep asking me why it's not on PS4, why it's not on Xbox One, why it's not on anything else, it's because the game had been in development. Sega had said, go ahead, and it reached a certain point, and then Sega said, you know what, it's no longer going to be profitable for us, so we're cutting the project. And they had shopped around for several different publishers, and all of them had turned them down until Nintendo came along. Nintendo said, you know what, we'll help you guys out. We'll pay for the game. So he's like, if there would have been no Nintendo, there would be no Bayonetta 2. So if you want this game on something else, ask Nintendo. And while you're at it, why don't you ask for Mario and Legend of Zelda too?
Zelda's coming to PS4. Hyrule Warriors alongside Dragon Quest Heroes.
Oh, Kamiya, God, I love you. It has to be so terrible to be that guy and have just people constantly asking you the most idiotic things like that, which has been made clear over and over again. They were asking
this freaking Japanese developer about Zo Quinn and Gamergate and shit. Like, people are hounding him constantly, and it's just like, what? Why do you care? Why do you care what he thinks?
Yeah. I think at this time, people want to get a reaction out of him because they think it's pretty hilarious themselves. So I don't know why they would do it, but I have to assume part of them understands that he's going to just rip them a new one, so they go ahead.
And then block them too, so.
Yeah. Hope it was worth it.
That's what I'm saying. Hope it's worth it. Hey guys, it's my favorite news of the show.
All right.
There's going to be a Nico broadcast for Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. Do you think I'm going to wake up for it?
Yeah, because of course you want to be awake for news about a game that you've played
I'm
before.
going to say no, only because I think you won't sleep at all.
Ooh. This is just the start of John's day. This is his morning doing this show.
See, I'll catch it in, like, I typically wake up, like, maybe 8 or 9 a.m. on a day when I'm off work. But I think I'll push it to, like, 6 or 7 or something, and, like, get up a little early. But 5 is a little too much for me. I'll do 7. I'll catch up on the news. Hopefully, like, North America will be like, oh, we're going to do a stream, too. Hopefully.
Such a poser. Not waking up on time. Are you really a Pokemon
Come on,
fan?
man.
Do you even play the games?
Do you not even care about Hoenn?
Yeah, man.
Oh, confirmed.
Jonathan, Pokemon fan poser, confirmed. Not up at 5 a.m.
I played Pokemon Y for, and yes, I do have my 287 hours and 19 minutes.
Oh, it's from that save that you downloaded from the internet. Gotcha. Okay.
No, you just left it on. You just left the 3DS on and charging.
No, this is a thing. I can prove it.
That doesn't calculate you just sitting there having it plugged in and on and open.
Do you want me to boot my
idle
save
time. Idle
you...
time.
You guys are just giving me shit. I love you. But it's true. I would wake up if it were like 6 a.m., but 5 is pushing it just a little too far. Because I did wake up at 6 a.m. for the very first ever Pokemon Direct, and I covered that shit before I had my coffee. And there were grammar errors just rampant in my writing, and I'm just like, well, this is great. But 5 a.m. is pushing it a little too far. I'll wake up at like 6 or 7 and catch the afterburner on Twitter, because I'm sure Twitter will be ablaze with shit. But it's Pokemon news. It's coming. That game's coming on November 21st. Smash is probably coming on November 21st. I'm going to be over here picking between my children, and it's going to suck.
Poor Jonathan. But hey.
Speaking of Smash Brothers, just real quick, there was that lengthy Famitsu interview and all sorts of other stuff where Sakurai was just going on and on about the things that are or are not in Smash Brothers, and he pretty much cites 3DS hardware limitations all over the place. It's the reason for no Ice Climbers. It's the reason that Sheik and Zelda had to become separate characters versus transforming characters. It's the reason there's no Circle Pad Pro. It begs the question, would anyone in this room or our audience be okay if development for Smash 4 was limited solely to the Wii U from the start and there were no 3DS version planned ever?
Yeah, I'd be cool with that, considering I don't care for the 3DS
really, Randy?
version. Yeah, I don't plan on getting the 3DS version. I'm just waiting on the Wii U one. I liked that I was able to go back and forth between Sheik and Zelda, because I play Sheik and Zelda a lot, but now I'm going to have to choose them separately, and I don't know, that kind of limits what they were doing before. I mean, I know that they've added different moves and stuff, so at least it kind of makes up for it, but...
Between those two characters, and I have played a little as both Sheik and Zelda, I think they have benefited from being separate entities. But it depends on how you mained Zelda slash Sheik before. If you were good at, like, for one part of the battle being Zelda and then switching it up, like, that's obviously going to cramp your style a little bit. But they are competent by themselves at the very least. I will say that much.
Yeah, when I would play, Melee and stuff, I would do basically immediately transform to Sheik and mostly do that. But then when I needed to, go to Zelda and start shooting off fire bombs, from far away. So I'd probably just pick it. So.
I guess it's cool. Like, if I had to choose one or the other, to say, like, save all of the transforming characters or lose them all, I would say lose them all. Because I play Samus a lot. Samus is one of my mains. And the only way to get her transformation is to use her final smash. So that's really a pain in the ass. So making them separate characters, I actually really, really like that idea.
True.
But what about you, Chris? Would you be okay with a 3DS version never existing?
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest with you, only because I never expected it in the first place. When they announced it, I was like, what, really? 3DS? That doesn't make sense at all. But now that it's here, yeah, I'm definitely going to get it. But, I mean, if you could have said, I don't know, maybe a couple years back, they're going to make a 3DS version, and you can press this magical button that will totally make it disappear into a black hole of infinite death in
Right.
order to preserve the Wii U version, I probably would have pressed the button.
We would have gotten the Wii U
And
version sooner because they wouldn't have been working on development of the 3DS one alongside of it. So
it wouldn't have gimped it as much as it did, because people on the internet, I don't know if you know about people being dicks on the internet, but
I
they
know
are
something about
clamoring
that.
something fierce about Smash Brothers 3DS since this Famitsu interview went out, and they're like, it just gimped the Wii U version. It's the reason the Wii U version is gonna be terrible when it comes out because it has to cater to the needs of the 3DS version. And I get it. I'm actually with you guys. If I could press a button and make the 3DS version go away and have it be exclusively on the Wii U, I'm pretty sure I'd press that button too. But that's not to say the 3DS version isn't completely competent and Sakurai didn't put all the love in the world into that game. It's just, to be honest with you, at the end of the day, I was expecting more of a love letter to the handheld games and stuff, and it's more just repeat brawl stages on the lovely little handheld, and I'm just like, okay.
and yet you're buying it for the 3DS twice.
That's how I roll.
One thing that I had a question about, because the whole thing of like, oh, it doesn't support the circle pad, and only the C stick thing on the new 3DS will work for it. What does the second stick do in any Smash game? I've never used it, not in the GameCube, not in Brawl. What the hell is it mapped to? What do you do with it?
Couldn't you use it for throws, I think? Or smashes? No, you could use it for smashes.
I did play Project M recently, so I should know this.
No, you
honest,
use
I
it for
never-
smashes.
Yeah, I never stuck with the second stick either.
So what's the big deal? There's
I
hardly
don't
anybody
know.
uses it. So people just like
People
to
are whining.
complain, I think is what it comes
I
down
think
to.
that, actually, you know what? I want to go out here and I want to say, actually, I kind of think that excuse is a little bit of a bullshit excuse because I don't see a reason why they could not have incorporated the Circle Pad Pro. I think they wanted to make it more of a reason to upgrade to the new 3DS because now you have that little thing built in. So,
Well,
Personally, Chris, I think they
fine.
were in the middle of developing Smash Brothers for the 3DS and had to cut out the Ice Climbers and had to cut out the transforming characters and had to cut out the Circle Pad Pro. And Sakurai is like, dudes, make a new system because it can't handle my power.
well,
And so they did.
I don't think so. You know what? He says that they cut the Ice Climbers because the 3DS couldn't handle it, but the 3DS obviously can handle 4 Rosalina and Lumas.
Yeah, but Rosalina and Lumas aren't Ice Climbers at all. They aren't independently controlled and they don't
Well, you
function
don't independently control the Ice Climbers either.
Well, the thing is, it's not the first Sakurai game with the new 3DS on the horizon at all because what was it? Kid Icarus Uprising didn't use it either, and he explained it's a what is it? A CPU load doesn't handle it, or it's the RAM, but
Right.
'cause adding a Circle Pad Pro does mean that the 3DS it's not just using energy power; it's using processing power. So you have to be able to take all of these signals and convert them for use. So, I mean, I could understand if it was 3DS thing for Smash Bros. And be like, oh, they just wanted to make a new system, even though I'm not sure how recent the decision to make a new 3DS was. I mean, because we've only got one game that's been announced that'll even be needed for it, like need it to use. So it's like, I obviously haven't been in development much, and it's not even a new game. It's just porting a Wii game to it.
Right. I'm kind of
But
curious.
Good Wii game, the best Wii game.
Yes. I'm kind of curious if they will put Kid Icarus back under the hood and give it the second circle stick support. I would love if they patched that in. because it would make me buy Kid Icarus Uprising again. It really would, because that would make the controls redeemable, and I could use the 2 sticks like that game desperately needs. But it's just a pipe dream of mine. I really would like to give Kid Icarus Uprising the attention that it deserved, but those controls, I can't do it. But if they gave me a second stick, I'd be on it like white on rice.
Pat confirms that the second stick lets you use smash moves without tapping in the direction.
Gotcha.
Giving you an extra addition. Gotcha. Deco says, at least there are 2 versions of the latest Smash Bros, so you get your choice of either 3DS or Wii U. The third Lufia game was made on the damn Game Boy instead of the SNES, like the first 2. So you get downport. I mean, hey, same problem with Dragon Quest. I mean, 8 was on PS2, and then 9 goes to the DS. And then 10 is an MMO that we never get. So
never ever. And like that's the thing with the 90s going on the Lufia, the bandwagon. There are many Game Boy and NES counterpart games. Like Felix the Cat was both on NES and Game Boy. Adventure Island 3 and those games were all Game Boy counterparts. DuckTales 2 is an NES and Game Boy counterpart, but it was very rare that you would see an SNES and Game Boy counterpart, so they're just like, fuck it, let's put it on the Game Boy and forget about making an SNES version, and Lufia kind of suffered for it.
Yeah, man.
Now I miss Crystallis. That was a real, like, I didn't play Crystallis on the NES, I played it on the Game Boy Color for the very first time, and I was like, wait a minute, that's an NES port? It was. I miss Crystallis now. Sad times.
So we don't have a discussion topic set up, so we just want to go into some more in-depth things.
Sure.
Okay, sure. Why not? I didn't move things down in the outline, but I did have some bolded things. So Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance is a good time. I've played it for about an hour and a half. I'm in finished the first 2 chapters. It's not stealth gameplay, so it's fun.
Did you fight Mistral yet?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
That is the end of chapter 2, which was really cool, and I'm really digging the soundtrack. That might be a thing that I'll have to pick up because.
Yes, the soundtrack's really good.
Who did the composition for it? Is there a certain composer that was like, I'll do this and have it be crazy awesome?
Yeah. I can't remember offhand, but I do know that during the Mistral fight, the former lead singer of the Kidney Thieves does the vocals on that track.
Mm-mm. I'm unfamiliar with the band, but I know that I haven't been disappointed by a song in this game so far. So that was good. I think it's Rules of Nature that plays in the first chapter when fighting a Metal Gear was really, really cool. And I know that someone that I'm on Twitter with said that they were looking forward to my reaction to that song. So, pure badass. I liked it. See, expectation-wise, I didn't really have anything. I mean, I have watched Pat play through Metal Gear Solid 1 Twin Snakes on GameCube, so he's jumping around and kicking rockets out of the air. So this is kind of closer to that. Yeah. But not so much Metal Gear Solid 2, where Raiden is a whiny pansy who crawls around on the floor naked for things.
I was okay with Raiden in Metal Gear Solid 2. Metal Gear Solid 2 is actually my favorite entry in the franchise because of how unbelievably fucked up it is on so many levels.
See, I feel like if this game gets it hooked in me, like I'm enjoying the story and stuff, that I might consider, like, giving the standard games a try. It's the series that I've always wished I was into, but could never really get into. So, I don't know, maybe this will be it. I mean, I liked the story of 1, but it wasn't enough for me to be like, now I need to play 2, and 3, and Peace Walker, and 4, and then the 5 demo that costed money, and then 5. So, I mean, whatever, it's fun.
Don't get me wrong, I love Kiefer Sutherland, but he's no David Hayter.
I don't understand that. Kojima, what the fuck are you doing? I mean, it costed me $7.50. So, and it's a platinum game. Can't say no to something at that price. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's fun. I'll probably play the whole thing on Twitch because I started to. Why not? And all that other fun stuff. So if you want, shameless plug, you can catch me at twitch.tv/saber_breaker, just like my Twitter. So, Chris,
keeps things consistent.
Yeah, Chris, do you have anything that you want to throw my way regarding Batman? Like, you say I'm close. Like, what am I looking at here? Like, lots of puzzle solving, or a bunch of like a boss rush sort of thing coming up, or what's the deal here?
Let's see. You're probably going to have to make your way up to the tower at this point. I think it's where you left off. So you're going to make your way up there. You're going to fight a boss. Then you're going to do a couple more minor things, and then you're going to fight another boss. And I think that's going to be the end.
Okay. And
if I remember correctly. It's been a couple years, but...
Yeah. And then the ending will blow my mind?
I think so.
Okay.
At the very least, the end credits will.
Okay. So I'll have to stay
without any spoilers for anybody who still has not played Arkham City. The day that I beat that game, it was a Saturday. I was playing downstairs. My wife was hanging out upstairs watching TV. I beat the game, watched all the way through the ending credits, and then I sat there with a blank screen. There was just, it had gone back to the do you want to reload your last save kind of deal. And I sit there and I just staring at the TV like, what did I just watch? What's happening? What is happening to me? What is life? What is my life?
Chris, you're gonna feel that way when you beat Xenoblade. Cough.
You should play that game.
Don't say that.
You should play that game.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if I'm emotionally ready. You guys keep dropping hints like this.
You should play that game. You should really play that game.
But
I took a walk. After I beat that game.
You'll take 5 after you beat Xenoblade.
Couple other things here from peeps that are watching that happen to like Metal Gear Solid. So first of all, back a bit, Deco asked, John, did you play Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 2, the old...
I have not played the old NES games. I always meant to. Maybe it's something I'll get around to now that I have a Retron 5, but I always meant to, because they are balls to the walls hard, and we all know how I am a sadist like that.
Well, you have Metal Gear Solid 3, right?
I do.
It should actually be... They should be on the Metal Gear Solid 3 disc.
They are?
Yeah. Yeah, you should be able to access them from the menu.
The old PS2... You must be talking about like the director's cut version of Metal Gear Solid 3, because I got the very, very first one that didn't come with anything.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they would be on the... the good one. You didn't get the good one then.
Gotcha. No, I did not. I got that game when it first came out. I do not have the Legacy Collection.
You didn't have any of the HDs or nothing?
I always wanted to replay through the series, but it's always come out at times where there's like 10,000 other games I'm playing. I will get to them in time, perhaps.
Pat says, I do like MGS2, even though it falls apart so damn hard. So, hey, somebody else that also has some love for it. Deco says, in my opinion, Metal Gear Solid 2 is the most intelligent and intellectual Metal Gear game. I loved its story, themes, and messages. I even liked Raiden.
See, Deco and I share the same brain in this respect.
Pat says, hey, Randy, I have all the Metal Gear games. We should play them sometime. It's on, Pat. You let me know when you want to do this.
Basement compatible. I'm just saying.
We can do that. Deco wanted to chime in and say Xenoblade is more emotionally engaging than any BioWare EA game.
Damn right, Deco.
I don't know, man.
Friend of the show, Charlotte, and her friend Danielle have been playing through Xenoblade again, and they're like, we're going to finish it before Oscar does.
The only other thing that I really wanted to talk about was Silver Spoon, this anime series that's on Crunchyroll, and actually has a home release now via Aniplex, but it's not crazy expensive. It's more expensive than it should be, but it is not crazy expensive. Silver Spoon is, premise, is a high schooler who goes to a special high school to be a farmer who goes with a bunch of other kids. They have classes about dairy farming and raising, animals to be killed for their meat, as well as like veterinary school and all this stuff. I'm like 3 episodes in. Premise sounds crazy. I mean, at least different than what your normal sort of thing is.
Yes, sir.
It's based on a manga. The manga was written and illustrated by the same woman who made Full Metal Alchemist. So after doing military magicians, goes on to make high school story about working on a farm. So,
very strange.
A little bit.
I consider myself sold a little bit. I do need to watch Full Metal Alchemist first, but
if I'm not, well, I was going to say actually I'm not. I have a small moment of clarity, and that's only because the artist, I can't pronounce her name, but I do know it. I just
Hiromu
Arakawa, yeah. She normally draws herself as a cow.
That's right, she does, because she actually grew up on a farm. So this is why she's kind of going back to this, like, it's things that I know.
Outstanding.
It's cute. The main character, is actually a city guy, so he doesn't really do farm things. He kind of did it, apparently, to get away from his family, I think. Kind of whatever. I mean, in 3 episodes in, they haven't spilled the beans on everything. But yeah, so it's kind of like this guy who's never really been on a farm kind of thing of dealing with animals. Like in one episode, they're like, these are pigs, and here's how they grow up, and here's a litter of them. And he's like, that one's small. And they're like,
here's a chicken named Jonathan.
Well, they're like, he's like, this pig is small. They're like, yeah, he's the runt of the litter. He will probably die. It's like, so he like tries to help it, and then he's like, well, it's not going to take my help, but I'm going to love him forever, and I will name him something. And they're like, you shouldn't name him anything, because he will be breakfast.
We're going to eat him. We're going to make delicious bacon.
So they're like, instead of giving him a normal name, you should call him Pork Bowl, because that is probably So that's kind of where I left off, is he has a new friend who you might eat by the end of the season.
Wow.
But yeah.
Well, okay. So it's not for the vegetarians of the faint of heart.
No, I suppose not. I mean, and there's plenty of other things like, to be a vet, you have to really like animals. Also, sometimes you have to put them out of their misery. Like, oh god,
right.
This is great. I mean, it's pretty spot on. I mean, the person has experience. So, Full Metal Alchemist and then Silver Spoon. Watch them in that order, I suppose. I don't know.
Watch FMA. My friend's been trying to get me into FMA for years.
My question is, the manga is still going. I know that they've done 2 seasons of the anime, and I'm not sure if they're planning to do a 3rd or anymore. But if they end it prematurely, will we get Silver Spoon Brotherhood in the future? A retelling. It'll be whatever. But that's what I had to say. Chris, I don't see anything for you on the outline, but you wanted to talk about stuff. I know you did, like
Natural
the Infinity and stuff.
Yeah, well, Natural Doctrine, I think I've kind of said, I could explain a little bit more about that, but I think I will leave people to read my review when that comes out. But I will definitely reiterate that this is not a game for the faint of heart. It is very, very challenging.
It is a game for the Jonathan in the room.
It is a game in which you must be perfect at all times throughout the mission, or else you will die. So there you go. I did want to talk about, I actually want to talk about Thor #1, but that just came out. I know that, I'm not sure how many people we have listened to the podcast who are totally into comics, but this is kind of a special deal. This is kind of a special thing because Thor has not gone anywhere. Thor, Odin's son, still exists. He's still hanging out. He is just simply unworthy to wield Mjolnir. So, because of everything that happens in the comics, now there must be a new Thor, like a title, like a job, like, I'm a firefighter, I'm a Thor, how you doing? So yeah, it's really interesting, especially because Thor still exists in the comic, and I'm assuming that we're going to see him regularly and the things that he sort of keeps himself busy with. But it's also going to be about this new Thor who's a woman. And the very last page of the comic, the very last, either page or 2 pages, you don't even know who she is yet. but the inscription on the Mjolnir says like, whoever so holds this hammer, should he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor. And you see a woman's sort of silhouette, and she whispers, "There must always be a Thor." And then the inscription on it changes, and an S is added right before he. And then she just bends over and picks it up, and then boom, she changes into the Thor armor. And it's like, wow, it was a very powerful, like, 2 pages. And I don't know, it's like super exciting, because this is not something Marvel does routinely, is replace existing characters with female roles, but wow, this is...
I'm very interested to see how it pans out, personally. I'm not really a comic book follower, but like something like that, even as a non-comic book fan, I might get on board.
And you know what? That's one of the things I was going to say. Actually, it's kind of perfect for you to get on board too, because for anybody who has seen the Thor films, a lot of those same elements make it directly into this comic. So you don't need the last 50 years worth of comic book knowledge on Thor. You can pick up this issue. And simply having seen the movies will give you a very general understanding of where everything starts off anyway, and the comic itself helps fill in the gaps. So it's actually really friendly to new readers, because I can't even tell you the last time I read a Thor comic front to back, so I was able to jump into this no problems.
So, for Avengers 2, is Chris Hemsworth getting a sex change? That's the deal breaker, I'm out. I mean, I'm all for female Thor, but don't take away my Chris Hemsworth.
Rand is actually a Tumblr teen.
With his obligatory... No, Tumblr teens are all about, what's his face?
Hiddleston. The other one, yeah.
Yeah, they go gaga over that guy for some reason.
Less than 3 heart. Cat face.
Yes, you have summed up every post on Tumblr in the Marvel fandom. Congratulations, John. You've graduated from Tumblr. Here's your certificate.
Official Tumblr graduate.
It is good for nothing. Have fun.
Yeah. Have
fun. But yeah, so I definitely recommend it. And I think one of the things that really stands about the issue in general is the level of attention that they gave it. Obviously, the writing is good, and that's great. But the level of quality to the artwork itself, it's super, super detailed, and the colors are very, very brilliant. It's actually really nice. Like, Randy, I'm sure if you actually looked up stuff from this issue, I think you'd be surprised, because there's a level of quality that definitely says Marvel is taking this very seriously, and that's good to see.
I've seen a few panels and things, because of course people talked about it on the internet before it came out, and I saw the whole, inscription being changed thing, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, and I do like the art style. Too bad that it'll be totally different next issue, because that's how Western comics go.
That is not always accurate. Okay. When they get a writer on there, no, it's true, because every once in a while they'll have guest artists, but most of the time, especially when it comes to things like Marvel, they get these guys in there, and they usually stay on their dedicated titles for years. I mean, it's not unusual for the same artist to work on a title for 2-3 years before they're transferred to a different title. So I have absolutely no reason to expect that the art style will change at all for this or any other comic that debuted today, which is not the only issue number 1 from Marvel today, but.
Maybe I will have to check into it when they have like a trade paperback or something, because as we talked about in private earlier today, $4 for 25 pages does not sound like something I want to do right now for something that I'm just mildly curious about.
Comics are expensive as hell.
They do. They keep going up. And one of the things that I feel like is
gotten into the Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and we watched Buffy and Angel via TV or via Netflix. We watched all the TV series, and She, of course, wants it to continue beyond the TV series as soon as she found out that the comic books existed, like Season 9, Season 10, and so on and so forth. So she's been, like, getting into the comic books and, like, spending money on that. And I'm like, that's really expensive. I'm okay with just a TV series. But you were saying, Chris?
Oh, yeah, yeah, I was just saying that. I mean, it is really expensive, and it is kind of a bummer because they do put advertisements and the like in the comics themselves. You think that would sort of help scale the price down, but what can you do?
Deco says he prefers Thor's secret twin, Captain Bosch from Rosenberg of Dalmatia. Chris, can you interpret?
He's talking about Final Fantasy 12.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's talking about Final Fantasy 12.
I need to play that damn game. I do, especially since it's part of the freaking Ivalice. I love tactics.
I have never been more disappointed by a Final Fantasy game than I was with 12.
Wow. Them fighting words on the internet, sir.
I am sure, because a lot of people really love that game. But you know, I love tactics. I love the story of tactics. They tried to do the same thing with 12, and I just do not think it translated at all. I think they failed miserably at emulating the success of Tactics' the story.
Eventually, I will play Final Fantasy 12, whether it's via PS2 or via some HD remake that they release years down the line. We'll fight about it, sir. Your days of
well, assuming that you disagree.
Right. That does assume that I disagree. Maybe I'm with you. Who knows?
Who knows?
I honestly don't have a damn clue. The only experience I have with 12 is Theater Rhythm.
We'll put it this way. How many times have I started that game? I think 3 times. And I get to the same point every time, and I drop it because I'm like, I seriously don't even know why I'm playing this.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Well, anything else for you to talk about in depth, Chris, or shall we move on to me last?
Nah, you know what? Go ahead, man. You take on the reins.
All right. So
let's go with the Jonathan hour.
No, it's not going to be the Jonathan hour. I promise. I'll keep shit brief. First and foremost, Chris, you're getting Hyrule Warriors when? Like today?
When you get Mario Kart 8.
Have you not gotten it?
No, I have not gotten it. No.
It's not on your horizon, as it were.
Yeah, of course it is.
A lot of people, and a lot of people I respect greatly, are high off that game, and it is worth getting high off of because it has a lot of that Zelda charm. It takes the series in a lot of various unique directions. This is the very first Zelda game in which you're not able to name Link. It has a verbose voice cast of characters, so it's a Zelda game with a voice cast. It has a unique story that spans across 3 so far major Zelda games: Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, and Skyward Sword. I will not spoil how it spans across those games and what all the interconnecting plot has anything to do with anything, but if you are a Zelda fan and if you've played a lot of those games, you will adore it. And there's like Majora's Mask DLC planned for the game, so you people that are high off Majora's Mask, there's probably going to be like a Majora's Mask sect to the story that's handled in the same way that the Ocarina stuff is, and y'all are going to love the hell out of that. The gameplay, though, it is, beyond all shadow of a doubt, a Dynasty Warriors game with Zelda skin. So if you are not a fan of Dynasty Warriors games and you find that gameplay repetitive and stale, it is going to get repetitive and stale for you. I promise. So rather than sit down like I would for a conventional Zelda game and play it for 6 hours at a time on my off day and be like, I'm going to devote this entire just big-ass block of time to some Zelda, I have been segmenting it and playing it for maybe an hour, hour and a half, like playing through 1 or 2 levels, if that, and just cutting myself off there so I don't let the gameplay get stale to me. Because I did buy the DLC right out the gate because I do want to support ambitious projects like this and more Nintendo crossovers because I know that it has been handled with respect, and you could tell that Tecmo Koei and Omega Force have like put a whole lot of attention into this damn game, and it is worth supporting. So I don't want it to go stale to me. I don't want to end up putting it on eBay for a while because that DLC won't come out until like the middle part of 2015. I want to give this game as much of legs as it possibly can. So I'm just playing it bit by bit by bit by bit. Because to be honest with you, I don't give a fuck about the plot. The plot, in my opinion, is one of my least favorite parts of the game because the story just seems like, okay. The basic plot of the game is that this woman with ginormously large boobs named Sia wants Link for herself, so she's all fucking him the world up because she wants to fuck Link. And that is seriously the plot. That's all there is to it.
If I was a wizard, I'd do the same thing. Not gonna lie.
I mean, it's not exactly the epic Zelda plot that I'm used to, so I'm putting it off to the wayside. I'm there for the gameplay, for the visuals, for the soundtrack, and for everything else that makes that game what it is. It is totally worth the price of admission, but be careful, because it's definitely a Dynasty Warriors game, and you can only slaughter thousands of enemies for so long before you're just like, I can't do this all day, if that's not your cup of tea. And personally, it's not necessarily my cup of tea, so I've been approaching it in short little bursts. Games that I don't approach in short little bursts. Have you guys played Bomberman games?
Very lightly.
What about you, Chris?
I think I played one. I think I played one.
You guys are no fun. You guys just don't know what fun is.
I hate fun.
Well, it's called Final Fantasy 13 because I'm going to beat that horse all the time.
Bomberman has been around since the 90s, at the very least, and has spanned across the TurboGrafx 16, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. Like, I've always loved that series, and I'm one of those people that doesn't play Bomberman for the multiplayer, fun, party-style atmosphere that game generates. For those of you who aren't familiar with Bomberman, it's a puzzle game. You blow shit up, and the mass appeal of it is that you can blow shit up with your friends and compete with them and compete to blow them up before you get blown up, and it's a game of survival, and it's super duper fun. It's really just a quick Google away, because like there's all sorts of multiplayer Bomberman games before Hudson Soft's demise, and they definitely shifted Bomberman more towards that multiplayer party aspects. I'm one of the outliers over here that really likes Bomberman's single-player gameplay, and they haven't made a single-player Bomberman game in God knows how long. I'm just over here just missing it. Because there were a bunch of Bomberman games released on the Game Boy, and there's Mega Bomberman on the Genesis, like Bomberman 93 and 94, and all the stuff from the 90s. They haven't brought a modern single-player Bomberman in like ever. I'm missing it. I miss it a lot. So playing Bomberman Max Challenger down there on my Retron 5, it's taken me back, because that game isn't as linear like all the other Bomberman games. Like you have a level and you complete the objective, and just there's little circles that appear on the ground, and you can pick whatever level you go to next. It's not like a linear progression. You sort of like guess and check, and like the levels bounce around, and it's sort of like exploration based. It's really fun. But I'm not going to bore you guys with like 15 minutes of Bomberman talk. I just really, really love those games, and I miss playing them single player, because I've always been a more single player kind of person. And speaking of single player awesomeness, 90s nostalgia, Pure Solar, like, did you guys play, I don't know, Phantasy Star, Shining Force, any of those like Genesis RPGs back in the day?
Negative.
I didn't play the Genesis Phantasy Star. I played the one on Xbox.
Are we talking like Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2?
I think so.
Because like that is the like online MMO type Phantasy Star kind of deal. Not that I'm dogging on Phantasy Star Online at all, because that game is one of the most important games in my entire freaking life. I spent thousands of hours playing PSO on the Dreamcast in the Dreamcast days. But I'm talking more like Dragon Quest and Earthbound and like the very grindy, heavy, cheesy story, but entertaining enough to keep you interested. Like Randy, I'll make the Lunar comparison.
Mm-hmm.
The story seems to have a lot of substance to it, but you can tell it's very rooted in that sort of like breakfast Saturday morning cartoon adventure style where like you'll see substance, you'll know it's there, but at its heart it's a cheesy 90s adventure romp.
Cool.
I think if you can get past some of the more grindy elements of the game, because I have been grinding a lot because it is based in the 90s and they did not like make any changes to the gameplay for the remake. They just enhanced a few things. I think you should give it a try if it's ever like free on PlayStation Plus or things like that. I think you'll like it. I really do. You can switch seamlessly between 16-bit visuals and HD visuals, and it's just whatever your cup of tea is that day. You can just roll right with it. It's been super fun. I have traversed through 2 major dungeons and 2 major storyline arcs so far, and I've played it for about, I'd say, 5, 6, 7 hours at this point. It's been pretty fun. It really, really has.
There's a demo available for
Really?
So, I'm gonna give that a go.
You really should. And if you don't like it, like I won't be offended because that kind of game isn't going to be for everybody, but it really is reminding me a lot of Lunar's sort of carefree yet complex nature. Like
it looks a lot like a Lunar game, which makes me really, really excited.
Exactly.
Who was the developer for this?
Watermelon. They made the game through Kickstarter. And
no, I mean, like, this is a remake of something, so who made the original then?
How heavily researched am I? Because I never played the original game, but I'm sure we could find out.
Man, that's okay. Either way, I'm excited.
Designers are Tullio Adrano and Gwenelle Good, but I have no idea who those are. But yeah, it just says Watermelon, and that it shows Watermelon's logo on the Mega Drive version of the game. So Watermelon.
Nice. Well, I'm gonna have to give that a go. And hey, look, it's already installed because it was 3 megabytes.
Fantastic. Well, then I know what Randy will be talking about for a split second on next week's show. So I guess that's a good enough point for us to go ahead and end things.
Sure.
Because I've got nothing left. That's all she wrote. Smash Brothers is on Friday.
So is the Xenoverse network test.
Well, then we will have a ton of shit to bring to you guys next week.
And Battle of Gods is out on Tuesday. Go pick it up, people. Go buy it. To take us out, you can give us some sweet feedback on this episode, previous episodes, or episodes far into the future.
Tell Jared you miss him.
Tell Jared you miss him. Show him some love. Shoot that guy a tweet at SciHowskiJ. But you can also send us an email at feedback.bcpodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at BC_podcast, as well as like, follow, etc. on Facebook, Google+, Tumblr, everything under the sun. You can check us out individually on Twitter. I'm at Saber_Breaker, as well as on Twitch by the same name.
I am at Radical Defect.
And I am about to sneeze. But you can follow me on Twitter at WildcardCorsair.
Perfect, Mr. Sneezy. So we're going to leave you off with another audience question for the week. And this time, I made it up, and it's nerdy stupid. If you could pilot any mech from anything, could be anime, could be video games, could be Hollywood movies, you could pick Pacific Rim.
We get to talk about Zone of the Enders at the opening of next week's show.
If you could pilot any mech from anything, what would it be?
Let's go.
That's a really hard question.
I'm going to talk Power Rangers. It's going to be great.
Oh boy, Power Rangers.
Oh Lord.
Had some good Zords. Anyway, that is it for episode 14 of Backwards Compatible. Thanks, everybody, for coming. But bye!
Bye!